welcome to Brighten Your Corner Ministry. My name is Cindy Ann Lewis Walcott, and we are studying life lessons from the Holy Bible. You don't have to be religious, these lessons are for holistic living. Today's lesson is a lesson I call Knowing Your Purpose. We are studying this lesson with Joseph, Jacob's son, who's now in Egypt, and we're going to study this lesson in Genesis chapter 45, verses 4 to 8. So far we know that Joseph was sold into slavery, sold into Egypt. He got there. He's done very well. He became, the chief in one of Pharaoh's servants' house. He was doing well. The man's wife tried to seduce him. He ran away, but she made a false accusation against him. He was thrown in jail. In jail, he continued to do well. He was put in charge of the jail. He interpreted a few dreams, and he asked these people, please remember me when you go out, make a recommendation for me. And they forgot about him. So he continued in the jail, and he's just there doing what he's doing. Pharaoh has a dream now, and Pharaoh's magician and chief men can't interpret the dream. So one of the fellow that's living still remembers Joseph in the prison. And Pharaoh calls Joseph in, and Joseph's able to interpret the dream. Joseph said to Pharaoh, God's telling you what's going to be happening in the next few years. And based on what God's telling you, this is what should be done. Well, Pharaoh is so impressed with Joseph. Now Joseph is in charge of Egypt. So Joseph created some food security policies or sustainability policies, because they're going to be suffering through a terrible famine. The famine came. Now Joseph's brothers, his father and his brothers, are in the land of drought. They are where the thing is really hot. But the policies Joseph was able to put in place in Egypt allowed them to have food. So Joseph's brothers are coming down. They came down now to Egypt to buy food. And he recognizes them, but they don't recognize him. And so he does a little bit of thing there. He tests them a bit to see if they're still the same, kind of jealous brothers, or if they've changed, if they're more loving and more brotherly and, more caring. And so he holds one of them hostage just to test them. And he finds out about his younger brother, and he wants to see his younger brother. So he's put a little bit of a strategy in place to make sure his younger brother comes to where he is. And the brothers still don't recognize him, because I think they're thinking there's no way our brother could. He's out of their minds completely. It looks like it's quite a lot of years passed since that event occurred. So now finally the father didn't want to send the younger brother, but finally the father gave up. He said, if that God will be done. If he has to go and I have to remain childless, I don't know how he'd be childless, but we know it's because he really loved those two children. Let it be. And so now they are in Egypt with his youngest brother, with his baby brother by his mother and father. So this boy is dearer to him than the other brothers. And he's did a bit of testing of them again, and he's made some accusations, and all this is he's testing them. He wants to see how much they've changed. Finally, it came to the point where the lesson is. He just can't take it anymore. He has to let them know that he is their brother. And I think I'll attempt to read it for you, because it's really exciting. So he's dined them, he's wined them, he's give them food and all that. He let them go, and then he had his guys trick them to bring them back in. And now he can't hold it. He cried out to all the people that was there, leave me alone. And he stayed there with his brethren. And so in Genesis chapter 45 verse 4, he's now going to tell them. And Joseph said unto his brethren, come unto me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph, your brother, I guess Goose Peoples, whom ye sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, and yet, sorry, that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years had the famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in which there shall neither be eaten nor harvest, because he knows this now based on Pharaoh's dream. And God sent me before you to preserve you a prosperity in the earth, and to save you your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but God. And he had made me a father to Pharaoh, and the Lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Joseph is saying here to them, no matter what you did, it was God's plan, because this was my purpose. My purpose, God had me come here to sustain your lives. And to me, this is one of the most touching things. He's not blaming them because he went through some hardships. He ended up in jail. You're sold into slavery or bondage, and you had to scratch and claw your way up. And thank God, he probably from the start, he figured out God had a reason for allowing for something like that happening to him. And I think I agree with him that he was there to make sure the promise God gave Abraham, Isaac, and now Jacob was to be fulfilled, was to continue. God was going to continue giving them what he promised, which is a great nation. And this famine threatened to wipe them out, but for him being in Egypt to be able to feed them. So a lot of times we get ourselves in situations. Originally, I always saw, before really diving into this lesson, I always saw Joseph as an ambassador, where he goes ahead and smooth things up for the people to come. He's kind of like the liaison between this and that, the person that's going to bring people together in the middle. And in hearing him say this, that you don't worry about it. God sent me here to preserve your lives. And the dream fully told him that. He knew that in the dream. He knew that they were going to bow down to him. So on the other hand, dreams do come true. But I don't think he's even thinking about the dream anymore. He's just looking at what his purpose was. And his purpose was to make sure life continues, to deliver them from the famine. And based on what we will study later on, Joseph did not get to leave Egypt with the children of Israel. So, and it's just, I think he knew. And it's such a beautiful thing when you can realize what your purpose is. Sometimes we do things and we do jobs just because it pays us. And it's an unfortunate situation, but that's how it is for a lot of us. Not because that's our purpose. And our purpose we should always stick to and fulfill, no matter what job we're doing. And I had a friend who said to me, when somebody asked me, what do you do? I give them all the things I do when I know they're asking me about my job, because that is not my purpose. That's not who I am. That is how I subsidize my lifestyle. And I like that. So I don't know what your purpose is. You have to find your purpose. I think Joseph and I have the same sort of purpose when I look at my role in my family. And I hope you can look at, truly, don't look at the negative side. Look at what positive thing came out of whatever happened to you. Whatever situation occurred in your family or in your neighborhood or with your friends, and so to put you somewhere else, was there a benefit to anybody else? Did it help other people? Did it uplift other people? Because that's Joseph here. He knows his purpose. He's recognized his purpose and he's explaining it to them. I hope you find this lesson very, very educational and important. I hope you take the time to see and examine yourself. and stop whining and complaining, because he had the opportunity to whine and complain. He could have sit down to and tell his brothers, you know what I suffered while you guys were up there eating nice roast meat and whatever, killing an animal, and when you're out at night and doing this and that, and you're with your wives and your family. And no, never complain. He said, this was my role. This is what God wanted me here for. And I want you to sit down and assess yourself. What does God want you here for? What is your role? What is your purpose? What is your purpose? Try and figure that out today. If you can't do it yourself, I always say you have to invite God in. Oh, sit down and talk to a friend, talk to a pastor, talk to somebody about it, and probably together you can sort of figure out things. You may have things heavily weighing on your mind that may block you from seeing your true purpose. So you may have to employ somebody else's help. I hope you found this to be truly enlightening. Please do give me a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. And have yourself a beautiful, purposeful day. Bye-bye now.